Hey guys, what's up? It's Naomi the Crafty Savage here, and I'm back for this week's whipping chat. If you're new to diamond painting, whip stands for work in progress. Not we're gonna somebody get your minds out the gutter, you dirty birds. And chat is I'm just gonna run my mouth, tell you all about my week. So before I get started, where are my manners? My mama tried to raise me right. She did an okay job, I guess. How are you guys doing? I hope you're doing fantastic. I did want to share also, I am an affiliate with Treasure Studios Arts. If you use the code Naomi15, that's NAOMI15, for any order over $40, you will receive 15% off of your order. I make a small little commission off of that. I mean, but come on, you get a code and you get to save money, and I know I am all about saving the money, honey. I do also have a Ko-fi and Buy Me a Coffee. If you donate to that, just the money I get from there, I put back into the channel, you know, to show you guys different things. You do not have to donate. Do not feel like you have to. Just watching the video, giving it a like, commenting is more than I can ever ask for. So, okay. I'll be using my handy dandy Munimade tray as well as my beach seashell, I don't know, seaweed diamond painting pen that I got off of Amazon. I might use this big humba jumba that I got from Miss Bev B, or I might switch up to this lovely masterpiece from Chroma Diamond Art Pens. I'm not sure which one I'll use. Sometimes I switch between all three of them. Sometimes I just use one. Sometimes I use two. I guess it just depends on the mood. I am also working on Manatee by Joy Eaton from Uniquely Yours Down Under. Look at them freaking adorable floaty potatoes. And don't mind my nails. I'm doing what was this? The Bev B special. Yes. I got the Bev B special going on. So, okay, so let's get into this, right? So, where did we leave off? So, I always record my videos on Wednesday. You guys see them on Thursday. So, last Thursday was my official 1 year on YouTube. Woo! Round of applause, round of applause. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's enough. I'm joking. I don't know, guys. Something's wrong with me. But yeah, so I officially, a year ago, last Thursday, started my YouTube channel. I can't believe it's been a year already. I'm like, where has the time gone? I woke up, on last Thursday, I woke up to like my hip and my lower back just like killing me. And I did not like it one bit. And I wound up like going into work late because I woke up and I was like, I can't take this pain. So I took a muscle relaxer, and I mean, like, good night, Irene. It was over from there. So I wound up like going into work late. And then I had to actually call. If you guys, if you're new to the channel, hi. If you're not, I had that whole car debacle, and I got another car, and my payments are, coming up on the first payment for this car, and I still haven't gotten anything like in the mail. Like, all I had was the stuff that I got from the dealership. And, the dealership saying, when my first payment was going to be. And I'm like, I still haven't gotten anything from them. I'm like, I know who to pay it to. I know the amount. I'm like, but I don't have an account number, anything like that. So I call them up, and oh my gosh, that was fun, because I have to call while I'm at work, but then if I get a work call, I have to get off the phone, if I'm on hold. Now, obviously, if I'm on the phone with a person, I'm not gonna, hang up on them. But oh my gosh, it took me a couple of times before, like, I was actually able to, like, talk to somebody. And, the lady was nice. Like, she helped set everything up, because I told her, I was like, I'm like, my payment. Now, this is last week. The car payment's due this week. I'm like, the payment's due this time. I'm like, what if, I'm like, I don't have anything, that tells me how to pay it, where to pay it, da 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 da. And I'm like, I don't want to start off, like the very first payment with you guys is late, because I never got the information. I mean, because honestly, they're going to want your account number, and if I don't have the account number, how am I supposed to pay it? So, I mean, she was really, the lady at the credit union was amazing, and she was like, yeah, she's like, I apologize. She's like, you should have gotten that by now. And chances are, I probably know what happened. The mailman probably stuck it in somebody else's mailbox, because where I live, it's like a bunch of like metal mailboxes. They almost look like P.O. boxes, and you have your own individual key. And he probably stuck it in somebody else's. And sometimes people are nice and will put it back in the outbox, and you'll get it again. Some people, they just throw it away, and it's annoying, because I'm pretty sure that's what's happened to my water bill a couple times. But I've fixed that. The water bills, like, the same every freaking month, and just as long as I have the account number and where to send the check to, I'm good. You know what I mean? Worst case, if it happens to be a little more, then I'll just pay. It would be like a couple cents or $1 at the most difference the following month. But yeah, it's lovely, lovely stuff. And so she helped me get that all set up, and yeah. And then when I got done work, I wound up taking another pain pill, a muscle relaxer, because I was just like in so much freaking pain that I was like, I can't. And the rest of the night I spent drooling into my pillow. Yep. Woke up the next morning, with a nice big drool spot on the pillow. Like, okay. And on Friday, my hip and lower back, like, it still bothered me. It was like twinging a little bit, but it was nothing that like I couldn't handle. I just had to really just not move as fast as I normally would. And then I made it. And then what was it? I ran, on Fridays I run to the bank to deposit the one subs check. And I was actually I was running a little behind. And I swear I always get the same guy, and he's awesome. And he told me, because I think I got there around 1:30, and I usually try to go between 11 and 12. So I was running behind, and the guy told me, he's like, yeah, he was like, it's a good thing. He's like, you didn't come when you normally come. He's like, because we were slammed, and they were even a little busy at 1:30 in the afternoon. And he was like, he was like, it was worse than this. And I was like, oh, damn, maybe there was a reason I got caught up doing stuff and didn't get out the door. Because, I don't know, it gets irritating sometimes, just standing there. And I'm like, I just have this deposit. Can you just deposit this? I don't know, it is what it is, And then after the bank, I ran to Walmart because we were having a tropical storm that was supposed to come through. Basically, I think it was supposed to start at 2 a.m. No, 8 p.m. and go through 2 a.m. when it was hitting my area. And so on Fridays, and then also right now from what was it? Dang it, dang it, dang it. I forget the date that it started, but it's like for 2 weeks, and it ends on, I think, Friday, but it goes for 2 weeks, where Florida has a no hurricane tax, like where you can get batteries, you don't get taxed on it, dog food or food, like, well, I don't think you get taxed on food, but like there's certain things that like you don't pay any taxes on it for, during this like 2 week time period. And yeah, so I was like, oop, let me run to Wally World real quick. And you know the beginning of every like hurricane season, I always get like the pee pads for the dog. I don't want him going to the bathroom in the house, but there are times where it is raining so hard outside that like you can't go outside, or the winds are so bad that like I don't know, I think he's around like 45 pounds, but like he would just, fly. He would be flying. I think it was like maybe like one of the first years I was down here in Florida, I learned, you know what I mean? I was like, all right, Roscoe, come on, we're going to go outside, before it gets too bad. I'm out there with them, and I'm like, maybe we shouldn't have gone outside. So yep, I learned, you know what I mean? In the beginning of the hurricane season, get dog pads, because there's times that, like, the area will get flooded, and the dog won't go outside and use the bathroom because there's really nowhere for them to, for like a couple days until the water goes down, or it's so nasty, or, you're getting hit with a tropical storm, or, like torrential freaking downfall, like, yeah, where if you don't get some of this stuff, like, in the beginning, you're not going to find it, or it will eventually come back, but it's like, it takes a little bit. So yeah, I've learned my lesson the hard way. Don't be taking the puppy out in tropical storms to go to the bathroom. Just go out and buy the pee pads, even though you broke them of that. It's just, but it's, it's what you gotta do, living here in Florida. And then on Friday night, I went to bed, like, really early, because I had to get up early, because me and my mama were driving to Georgia, and my mama was coming over, the butt freaking crack of dawn to me. I think she was supposed to be there at like 8. So I knew, I was like, if I stay up in like the lives that I usually go into on Friday, I'm like, I'm not gonna get up. And yeah. So I went to bed early on Friday night, and then my mom came over Saturday morning. Now she was running like a little later, which was fine with me. I slept in my bed until, I think she called me because she forgot what the gate code was to get into my development, and that woke me up. And then we got on the road and headed to Georgia, and that trip, yeah. So going there, like, we were heading out during the day, and I mean, it was okay. I mean, we made okay timing. I learned that, my bladder, as I've gotten older, I don't, my bladder, I'm like, whoop, I need to stop. And there was, like, I think we hit, like, we hit a lot of accidents. Like, there was a lot of accidents because on 75, like, the speed limit's 70, and let me tell you, if you're doing 70, you got somebody, pushing the butt end of your car for you as you're going down the road. So there was like a lot of accidents, and there was two. It was like two different ones that they weren't that far away from each other. That, I mean, it was like we were creeping. I think at one point I was doing maybe like 20 miles per hour, and then we would stop for a little bit. then, you know, keep going. And yeah, it was nice. I mean, it was a nice little, you know, drive there. And then, you know, we did what we had to do, and we came back. And on the drive up there, like in northern Florida, because I don't live up north. You know, like I'm kind of like more in the middle on the Gulf Coast. And we had to drive through like more like northern Florida. And it was like freaking beautiful there. I was like, I want to move here. I'm like, your neighbors are spaced out where, like, I don't want my neighbors like right on top of me, but you know, at the same time, I don't want my neighbors too far, where, you know, like if something were to happen, you know what I mean, they're not too far away. But I don't want them, you know, like right on top of me. We ain't in no relationship just because we're neighbors, you know. Don't personal bubble, people. So, but yeah, I loved it up there, and I think it's like cheaper to live, and like technically I could live anywhere and do my job as long as I have my computer and internet or Wi-Fi. I can do my job anywhere. So it makes it easier where I live in Florida, because it's like near where, for the most part, everybody else lives. But maybe one day I'll move up to that. I think it was like like on the northeastern side of Florida. I don't know, it was just it reminded me of like the country. Or like home from like where I came from, like from Solderton before it got like all built up. It was just, I don't know, it just seems nice and quiet and peaceful. Now, you know, you're like, yeah, we're gonna move up there, you know, find out the neighbors burying bodies in the backyard. That would be my luck. I'd be like, hey guys, you'll never guess what. I found out the neighbors burying bodies in the backyard. I mean, it is Florida, okay? Now the neighbor I have now, the lady next to me, she is awesome. I love her. But yeah, I don't. So me and my mom, you know, we did what we had to do, and on the way back, so we're going down this one road, and were we still in Georgia? No, I think we like might have like just crossed like the Georgia Florida line. And it was dark, so it was hard to see, but we were like on this road, and I mean, it's like 38 miles on this road, and I mean, you are out in the middle of nowhere. And as we were like getting out of town, we go past this one gas station, and my mom tells me she's got to pee. And I was like, okay, I'll stop at the next gas station. And she's like, I think that was it. And I was like, no, I think there's another one. You know what I mean? Because I remember after I got gas, you know, driving by and seeing this one with the flashing where it had the difference for the credit card and if you paid cash. I was wrong. That was the gas station that I stopped at. And my poor mama, right? So we're probably, I don't know, I've probably been on this road for like 20 miles. And I mean, it's pitch black dark. And it's literally like the road, and then on the sides, like it's more or less like fields, and you have some houses. And when I say like their driveways, it was like dirt. I mean, at least from what I could see when I drove during the day. At night, you wouldn't have been able to tell. But it was like dirt, and the houses are so far back, or there's so much like tree line that you can't see the houses. So finally, like, my mom was like, you know, I'm gonna pee myself. And I was like, you know, well, do you want me to pull over? Because literally, like, we've been on this road, and I'm not kidding, for like 20 miles, and like nobody came this way, nobody was behind us. So my mom's like, yeah, she's like, I'll quick jump out, you know what I mean, and you know, pee a little bit, you know what I mean, and we'll stop, you know what I mean. at the next rest stop. So I'm like, okay, right. So I pull over to the side of the road, you know, and I have like my hazards on, you know, just in case somebody comes. But I'm like, nobody's gonna come. Wouldn't you know, my mom starts freaking peeing, right? And I don't know where this car came from, but all of a sudden I see these headlights, and my mom's like, no, no, where did that car come from? I can't stop peeing. I can't stop peeing. And I'm like, I'm dying in the car, because I'm like, only my mom. I'm like, I pull over, nobody's around, nobody's been around for like an hour. I'm like, and she jumps out of the car, you know, just to like pee on the side of the road, because she couldn't hold it anymore. And all of a sudden, here comes this car, and she couldn't stop. I was dying, like dying. But yeah, let me see, I'm looking at my notes here. So then, you know, we get back on the road, and that's the very first, you know, oh my gosh, what are they called? You know, rest stops. You know, I pulled over so my mom could, you know, go to the bathroom again. I wound up getting home at like 2:30 in the morning. Well, I wasn't expecting, you know, I knew it was a long drive. It's like about 6 hours one way. So I knew like it would be a little bit, but I'm like, okay, if we leave at this time, shouldn't take us that long, you know, an hour at the most, you know, get back in the car, 6 hours back. I was like, we should be home by like 8, 9 o'clock at the latest. So I wasn't like worried about finding, you know, someone to watch Roscoe or take him out, but I was like, you know, I'll lay the pee pads down, you know, just in case. Poor dude. I got home at 2:30 in the morning. You know, he still had to eat. So I you know, took him out and I fed him, and then I had to wait for his food to digest and all that good macaroni and cheese, and then, you know, take him out before I could go to bed. So I probably went to bed like, I don't know, 3:30, 4 o'clock Sunday morning. Well, let me tell you, that has screwed me up all week. Like, all freaking week. So I wound up sleeping on Sunday. I think I slept until like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like, so you know what's coming after this, right? So I wound up staying up late Sunday night because I wasn't tired, and I didn't realize, you know, the time, you know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, you know, I haven't been up that long, and then you look at the time, and it's like 2:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I gotta go to work, and I need my brain. I gotta do, you know, the most tomorrow. So yeah, on Monday, I was hurting and dragging, and I think I even slept like, I'm supposed to be at work at 8, and like I said, it's literally just downstairs. I go down my stairs. So it's not like I have to go far. I got to go to work. Like, I could literally jump out of bed in my pajamas and, you know, work. And as the day goes on, you know, go get dressed and all that. So it was like, I think I slept until 8:30. Like, I didn't even hear my phone ring when my boss called me. I didn't hear my phone going off with the alarm. And I have this like annoying alarm, and it doesn't go off. I have to solve 3 math problems for this alarm to turn off. Yeah, like, I'm that kind of sleeper. So, and when I say it is annoying, and it's loud, and I slept right through it. So I woke up at like 8:30, and I quick called my boss, and I'm like, I am so sorry, blah, 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 you know, and I told him, you know, I was like, I had to run to Georgia. You know, I didn't get back, and it just kind of threw off my whole sleep schedule. And he's like, that's okay. I mean, here lately, I feel like I've been like sleeping in, but he knows it's not my normal, you know, like when it's time to go to work, like I get up and I go to work. So But yeah, so Monday I was dragging. Like my brain was not working. Like I could not compute stuff, and it came time to like go to the bank, and I was like, I don't even know if I want to drive. I'm like, that's how tired I was. I was like, I don't know if I should trust myself to drive. So I was like, you know what? I'm like, go jump in the shower. I'm like, that might wake you up. So I jumped in the shower, and it did. It helped. I was still tired, but like not as bad. So I was like, okay, I feel, like refresh enough to drive where I don't feel like I could be driving down the road and just fall asleep. We don't need that. There's enough crazy people. When you're out driving, you gotta watch for those like kind of people. There's accidents all over the freaking place that are just crazy. And so then I went to the bank and came back home, and it was really more or less my Monday. And then Tuesday, went to work, and let me tell you, like the last 2 days when it's come to work, like I'm just like, I cannot with people. So I was entering like our supply yard bills, and I entered the one job, and I go to move on to the next, and when I go to enter it, I notice that it's the same lot number. So I look at like, I'm like, did they charge us twice for this lot? And I'm like, So then I look at the PO number, which would be like my purchase order number, that when I emailed it over to them, saying like, hey, I need this job ordered, and delivered for this day. This is, what needs to be delivered. So I look at the POs, and they're two separate POs, and I'm like, okay, I know that building, there's 8 separate units. So then my next thing is, I'm like, well, when I ordered it, I'm like, did I not change, the lot numbers, or like the unit numbers, on the purchase order that I sent over? So I quick checked, and nope, 2 different, unit numbers, and I'm like, okay. So, and I was nice, because, hey, we all make mistakes. We're human. I know I have. And, I mean, on Monday, the one girl, I was doing the billing, and I forgot to put in the quantity, so it left the price at 0. And I didn't catch it until I hit email, and it went email out, and out of the corner of my eye on the other screen, I saw, like, the little green paid thing, and I'm like, how could they have paid it if I'm just emailing it now? There's no way. And I look, and I found it, so like I get it, like people make mistakes, and I quickly, like emailed her. Well, actually, I don't think I emailed her. I think I texted her, and I was like, hey, I'm a ding dong. Like, I just realized this. I'm going to resend it. You know what I mean? It'll be the same invoice number, but just that way why it's the same invoice number coming over twice. And she's really cool. Actually, I talked to her today, but we'll get into that. I freaking love that girl. So I print out, my 2 purchase orders that I sent to them when I ordered the jobs, to be like, hey, I need this changed. This is not, you put a lot number or a unit number, it's the same thing, in twice, and they're 2 different ones, but you build it to one. So I email her, and she emails me back. I don't think I attached the purchase order yet. I think I did it after the email she sent me. So she emails me back, and she's like, I don't have that one lot. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, so I, printed out the 2 separate purchase orders, you know, and the 2 invoices that had the same lot number, you know, and I circled them, you know, like, okay, look, on your invoice, you say my PO number is this. Here is this PO number. This is lot 13. On this other invoice, you have, so she billed, they both got billed to lot 14, and there was a lot 13 and a lot 14. And I, you know, showed like, look, on your invoice where you have my PO number is this is the PO number, it says this invoice, this, you know, lot number. On this other invoice, you know, what you have as my PO number is this PO number, and that's lot 14. Can you just take the 1 and, you know, move it to 13? And she was like, you know, we don't have 13. What was it? Like, we don't have 13. And she sends me this, like, it's not a screenshot, but it's like almost like, you know, what it shows on her end on, you know, what jobs did. And she's like, I don't have that number. She's like, where can I put it? And that's where I was like, okay, we're gonna send this over. So that's where I send the PO over, my PO numbers, you know, their invoices showing them. I don't hear anything from her, so I'm like, okay, like, I can't with people, you know. And here lately, like, builders are, and I get, you know, things are expensive, I understand that. A lot of builders are coming back with, like, because, like, we'll do, like, a proposal where, like, you know, we did this proposal for the pricing back in 2021. Well, here's the thing. Since 2022 began, there's been two material increases since then. So it's like, we're not robbing people. Like, yes, the numbers have jumped because, one, there's been 2 material increases since the beginning of 2022. And the price of the material has, like, freaking, like, it's outrageous. Like, houses that, you know, maybe used to cost us, like, $3-4 grand to load last year are now costing us, like, anywhere from $7 to $8 grand. Like, it's basically doubled. It's disgusting. It is absolutely freaking disgusting. But, you know, these builders are coming back and they're like, well, can't you do better? And I'm like, don't be emailing me with can't you do better. I'm like, because you're not going to like my response. You're better off calling my boss and being like, can't you do better? Because if he's going to wiggle it at all, that's the one you're going to talk to. And believe me, sometimes me and him, like, we don't go at it, but, like, I tell him, you know what I mean? Like, because he'll be like, oh, well, you know, da-da-da. And I'm like, no, I'm like, we're not working for free. I'm like, we're not going to make any money to pay the bills if we work for free or, you know, give stuff away. Now, I mean, if it's, like, a really good builder, they take care of us, you know what I mean? And they don't ask for it a lot. Okay, you know what I mean? If it's like, hey, can you just quick fix this repair? Fine. But, yeah, like, I caught this other builder, they called up my boss and, like, basically, like, I don't want to say ripped him a new one, but they weren't happy because there was no material for the porch for it to be turned into an enclosed porch. So he calls me up and he's like, yeah, he's like, I don't know why it wasn't ordered, you know, but, you know, I need you to order this ASAP. Well, you know, thank goodness I put on, you know, my Sherlock Holmes detective hat and was like, you know, let me just take a look, because I don't trust builders. I've been in this business too long. Like, I've seen how some of these people work, and this builder in particular, like, I'm not fond of them. It's the one that I always have to put a lien on any job that we do for them so we could get paid, because if I don't do the notice to owner, I've never had to put a lien on one of their properties. I've had to do every job we do, I have to do a notice to owner or we don't get paid. So I'm like, let me look at this, you know. So I look at it, and in bold letters on the proposal, it says, porch not included. So I'm like, stop the bus. Like, let me out. I need to make a phone call. So I call my boss up, and he didn't answer, and he calls me back, and I'm like, hey, you know those porches you want me to order? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you know, in the proposal, it says, you know, they're not included. Now, he's out on the road. Like, even though he'll, you know, like, write it up and send it to me to type up and send out to the builder, you know, I don't expect him to remember every single job, what's included, what's not included, you know, so I double check, and he was like, what? He's like, no, and I'm like, no, in big bold letters, I says, porch not included. So he's like, send that over to me, because he's like on their PO, because, you know, they send us a PO that we have to use, or they won't pay us if we don't put their PO number on there. It has the porch, you know, with the same price as our porch not included, because we didn't do pricing for the porch. And so I sent it over, and he was like, he was not a happy camper, you know, but he was like, good catch. He's like, he's like, you didn't send that out, did you? And I'm like, no, not yet. And he's like, okay. He's like, yeah, he's like, they're either paying us for it, he's like, or we're not doing it, you know what I mean? Like, it's that simple. So yeah, like, I'm just like I said, we have some really good builders, and a lot of our builders are amazing. Like I said, I understand where the price increases are outrageous, you know, and unfortunately, if we don't raise our prices, you know, and we eat a lot of the material increase, you know what I mean, but there's only so much you can eat before you're not making any money. And to be able to run a company, you gotta make, you know, you gotta make sure you at least make your overhead where you can pay your bills and pay your employees and all that, you know what I mean? Because if you're not doing that, you're working for free. Like, I don't care if you get paid for it. You're working for free, because you don't have enough money to pay everything. So yeah, so, you know, that was Tuesday. But real quick before I forget that, the problem with the you know, having the wrong unit assigned is this builder, and the builder that we're doing the work for, this builder, they always ask for a release from the supply yard, because the supply yard puts an NTO out on every job. And, you know, so, and to get our money, we have to get them the release. Well, when it comes time for them to pay for that job, and they're like, okay, you know, well, I need a release for lots, you know, I don't know, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. You know, I know it's 13 and 14 that I'm talking about, but I forget which way they went. But I know there was 8 of them. They want a release for each unit, because each unit is a property. And for them, I guess, to get, like, the releases from the bank and all that, they need these releases. And I'm like, what's going to happen is it's going to be a problem when I need to get a release for this unit, and I can't give them a release from you guys, because you guys didn't put the lot in. Like, you put it in as another lot that you've already billed me for. I'm like, it's gonna cause a problem. Like I said, I think that was in the last email that I sent, attached with, you know, their invoice number and my purchase orders. So, and you know, like I said, I didn't hear anything from her for the rest of the day after that. So I figured, like, okay, she got it. Like, this is more than just, you know. So I'm like, okay, you know, and I get done work, and I, you know, diamond paint and go about my night last night. I get up this morning, and I'm like doing my thing, and it was still, you know, still in the morning. Hold on, I need to get a drink, excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. And I'm sitting there and I'm working and I see the email from her. So I'm like, okay, she's probably just saying, she got it taken care of, blah, 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 blah. Wrong. Like, I'm positive. I'm positive. Like, I don't know if you ever heard, like, the nursery rhyme, the 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed. I'm almost positive she is a relative and was, one of those 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed. And today it was her turn, to bump her head because she done bumped her freaking head. So I get an email from her and she's like, she's saying that, she can't see what the counter does, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand that, and I was fine with everything until I got to her last freaking sentence. And it said, moving forward when calling in your order or placing your order, please make sure to have the correct address, so this doesn't happen again. I was like, oh, no, she freaking didn't, right? So I call up my boss, and I'm like, you might want to deal with this. I'm like, because I've been nice now. I'm like, you really need to deal with this. I'm like, before I turn around and call her a dumb fucking bitch. I'm like, because that's what she is. Like, I showed her it wasn't me, it was their mistake. You know what I mean? So don't come back at me saying I need to make sure. Like, no, honey, on your guys' end, you need to make sure. Because believe me, like, if it was me, I would come out and I would admit to it. I'd be like, I am so sorry. I just caught this, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? No. So like I said, yep, she's part of them 10 little monkeys jumping on the bed. And today was her turn, to fall out and bump her freaking head. I kid you not. And then, I wound up talking to, another builder, their accountant, girl, and I love her. I was, talking about her a little bit earlier. And she is like, she's the best. Well, she's up there. There's like two builders that I absolutely love, and the ladies in their office, and she's like one of the two favorites. And it was funny because I had to call. They were doing a credit card payment, and I have to call to get like the last four of the credit card and all that to run it through QuickBooks. And so I call her, and I don't even know how we got to talking about it. I think like something about like how much like we appreciated our bosses. Oh, because I think she said something, like, well, thank you guys for always understanding. And I'm like, no, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, you guys are awesome. I'm like, there was like a couple years ago, we were like in a pickle because another builder had screwed us over, and I mean, it had to go to court. It was a whole mess, but it was a lot of money that we did not get paid. So we were like robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it was like catching up to us. And like the supply yard was getting ready to shut us down, and we didn't have the money. And her boss, the owner of the company she works for, my boss, called him up and was like, hey, look, this is the situation. Like, I know you don't, none of your invoices are due yet, but like if I don't, the supply yard's going to shut me down. And her boss, and she didn't even work there at the time, he's like, yep, no problem. He's like, he asked my boss, he's like, what do you need, you know what I mean, to make, the supply yard get off your back, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, he owed it in invoices, but, like, he paid invoices early, like, he didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? So, and that's why, I always make sure, like, I'll go out of my way for that builder, and he recently hired, a girl for his, accounting, because they're getting bigger and it's too much for like his wife and him to handle by themselves. And yeah, so I love her. And so we were talking about like good bosses, you know, and how much, you know, like the bad bosses, like when you have a good boss, like those bad bosses, as much as you can't stand them, like if you've like had a bad boss and then you have like a really good boss, like it makes you appreciate that good boss like 10 times over, because you know what you could be dealing with because you dealt with it before. So yeah, we somehow got on the topic about, you know, how when I worked at Adult World and I was like telling her some of the stories and she was like dying, where her boss comes in and he was like, "Who are you talking to?" And she was like, "I'm talking to Naomi." And yeah, he knows who I am. So he was like, "Yeah." And like she got off the, before we got off the phone, she's like, "You just made my day." She was like, "I can't believe, you know," because like I said, I told her some of the stuff I had to deal with, and I'm like, "And that's not even everything." I'm like, "I got more stories than that." She's like, she was like, "We need to get together for wine and discuss more of this." She was like, "You just made my day, my week." She's like, "Thank you so much." And like I said, I absolutely love her. Like there's been times like where it's like, I swear my brain goes on vacation, and like she'll call me up and she's like, "Hey Naomi, I noticed this," and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm an idiot," blah 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 blah, you know. And you know, I tell her, I'm like, "I swear I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing." And she's like, "Oh no," she's like, "I know." She's like, "I know you know what you're doing." She's like, "We all have them days, you know." And yeah, because I think on the credit card thing, like she even asked me, she's like, "What's the expiration date?" And I told her the expiration date. And she was like, "That is the wrong expiration date." She's like, "Let me give you the new expiration date." I think that's how we got on that. You know, she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I'm like, "No," I'm like, "Believe me, I'm pretty sure, you know, there were times you were like, does this freaking chick even know what the hell she's talking about or what she's doing?" I'm like, "But we all have them moments, you know. It depends on your day, what you're trying to handle and deal with." And yeah, she is absolutely awesome and amazing. And I talked to one of my best friends, Allison, today. It's kind of funny because she's the reason that I started working at Adult World, because she was the manager there, and I was still living in Pennsylvania, and I had just gotten out of this like bad relationship. I moved in with my mom, and I had a car payment, and my car payment at the time, it was due every 2 weeks. And I was like, "Oh, you know, I'm going to come back, I'll find a job, like I have all this office experience, no problem." And I mean, I was filling out applications and turning in my resume and submitting my resume, like all over the place, and not getting callbacks, because it was just like, it was so hard to find a job then. There were so many people looking for work, that finally, like, my aunt and uncle, they had made 2 of my car payments for me. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I don't, and I knew, like, it was coming up where I think I had, like, they made the second one. And I was like, I need to find a job. I'm like, I don't want to ask them, like, "Hey, can you make this next car payment?" Like, I didn't want to have to keep asking them, you know, "Hey, can you make my car payment? Do you mind making my car payment? Like, I'll pay you back once I get a job, blah, 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 blah." I knew they would do it. And my best friend at the time, she had posted, you know, that, like I said, she was the manager there. So it was her, you know, little dirty, devious ways that got me in there. She had posted on Facebook, you know, that she was like looking for somebody to help out at the store. And I was like, you know what? Like, at this point, it's better than nothing. So I go in there, I fill out the application. Of course, she hires me because, I mean, it's me, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'll have to tell you some adult world stories sometimes because, I was there maybe 2-3 months, and yeah, no, never, ever, ever, ever again. No, they can come repo my car. Like, it's one thing to, like, go into those stores, like, when you're a customer, when you have to work behind the counter. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, not everybody is a perv, not everybody, like, you'll have some cool people come in that you're like, yeah, but there are some people that it's just like, can you go, you sick freaking pervert? Like, yes, I know where I'm working, but it's like, a girl's got to do, you got to pay your freaking, your bills, you know what I mean? I'm like, I got a car payment, I got my car insurance, I got to put gas in the car. Some of the disgusting things that men have said, and I'm like, now, if you walked into, like, Walmart, would you dare say that to the cashier? Like, I don't think so, you freaking disgusting pig. And believe me, there were some customers that would cuss the one out, and like I said, I didn't care, but never again. Nope, I will never, nope. So, but you know what, guys? I have been flapping my gums, for a little over 50 minutes now. I'm gonna hop on out of here. If you're new to the channel and you like what you've seen, hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. And don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time, guys. Bye!